The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello and welcome to the kickoff meeting for the Women in Technology Management Special Interest Group. We are delighted to have you on board for this very interesting and important presentation. My name is Sonika Nihalani and I am your host. At this point, I would like to go over some housekeeping rules. This presentation is being recorded. It will last for approximately 60 minutes, of which we will utilize about 45 to 50 minutes for the presentation and the balance for an open mic and discussion. If your connection is dropped, please dial back in. If you're in the unlikely event that our connection is dropped, please wait 5 minutes and then dial back in. Your control panel allows you to ask questions at any time using the Q&A button, or if you need assistance, you may use the chat button to chat with me directly. I will also be sending out a poll on your screen. You have approximately 1 minute to answer this question. So what is CIO Index? CIO Index started in 2006 as a publication. Today, we are an ecosystem of the CIO, for the CIO, by the CIO. Our mission is to empower the CIO role. And as such, we provide provocative and practical thought leadership on the CIO's index of critical items. That is how our website is also designed in order to get you to find the right solutions. Today, we are the world's largest at about 63,000 plus registered users. We have among us many experts who bring independent, practical, results-oriented, and cross-industry and cross-geography perspective. And what better way to put that to use than to provide a platform to our members to learn, network, and share these perspectives. So what is a special interest group? It is a group that learns by doing. It's a group that takes a problem and tries to solve it. It's a small group of people who come together. What is very important is that since we are solving a problem, we are required to produce a deliverable. It's open source and provides you as a team member to network together with individuals who share a same interest. It helps the leadership of this group develop leadership skills, and those who are part of the team learn to work within the team. It's very important to note that this is not a spectator sport. So if you have joined the SIG and you're interested in being part of the SIG, participation is mandatory. The chair for the Women in Technology Special Interest Group is Candace Hayden, Senior Vice President of Information Technology North America at Hutchinson. And the vice chair is Rita Trehan, Chief Capacity Officer at Rita Trehan LLC. Good morning, Candace. Over to you.
Good morning, Sonika, and thank you so much for that introduction. Hello, everybody. Again, my name is Candace Hayden, and I'm the Senior Vice President of Technology for a group of automotive and aerospace suppliers with headquarters in Michigan. I have responsibility for all of North America, including Mexico and all 50 states in the United States, and we are expanding into the Brazil area. I've been with the organization for 16 years, and I've worked in some capacity of IT for the majority of my career. The Women in Technology SIG is obviously very important to me, and I'm very passionate about the subject. I feel that we can contribute significantly to the understanding of the challenges that women face in technology, not only in a management role, but also in a support role. At this time, I'd like to introduce Rita, who is the vice chair of the SIG. Rita, I'm turning the mic over to you.
Thanks very much, Candice. Good morning, everyone. Firstly, thank you for taking time out of your schedule today to join us on this call. Most of us have very busy schedules, and I think the importance of you taking part and giving up some time to get to understand a bit about what this project is about reflects, we hope, the interest and the participation that we'll get from this group. I run my own consulting company as of today. Prior to that, I was the Chief HR Officer for a Fortune 200 company that had 27,000 people globally in about 30 countries. So a lot of my experience has been global. I have been involved in the change management of many IT transformation initiatives over the years, and I'm actually a managing partner of an IT transformation company today where we are trying to help CIOs understand the significant transformation that's going on within the IT world and the changes in technology. My desire to be part of this particular special interest group lies with the fact that if we look around today and we read some of the statistics, it's still somewhat saddening to see that women, for various reasons, are not reaching the potential that they can within the fields of technology and other disciplines. And that has made me very keen to sort of get to understand how we can change that narrative, not just for those of us that are in roles today, in leadership roles, but for the generations coming beyond us, to be able to offer them some opportunity to see that roles in technology not only offer rewarding careers, but there's an opportunity to grow and develop into very senior positions. So let me start by sort of talking a little bit about the objectives of this project. Not surprisingly, the objectives of the project are very similar to objectives that you will probably have come across in the past, probably objectives that you've set around different initiatives that you've had. But one of the things that Candice and I both believe in is that we really want to make sure that what we achieve with this project are actionable strategies, things that actually can work versus sort of theory or nice to have. We are very keen that this group helps to devise some strategies and solutions that really help to address some of the challenges faced by women in technology and leadership. And we see this defining this pathway to success, and you'll notice that it says for women and the men is kind of underlined in green, and that's largely because the issue around women in technology is not a woman-only problem, and for us to be successful in technology we also need to partner with the men that we work with in our organizations to help women to be successful. So we see this as being able to look at it very broadly with the hope that we can start to define some of the pathways to success that will help women reach leadership positions within the technology field. Let's talk a little bit about some of the deliverables. I've already mentioned that the idea of this SIG is to look at developing practical solutions and practices that actually tap into and address the issues that are facing women in technology, and for those, as I said before, whether they aspire to be in leadership, whether they're in college today and don't even realize that maybe a career in technology is something of interest to them. Our hope is that we can try and address the spectrum of issues that really affect where women stand in relation to technology today. So some of that will be hopefully creating some best practice guidelines for women in IT leadership roles. Many of you probably have some good experiences that you might be able to share about what's been effective for you in your careers as you've advanced in the roles that you have today. There may also be some members who are part of various networking organisations who can also share some things that companies have put in place to help women to be successful. So we're hoping to leverage that to create some best practices for how women in IT can move forward. We also want to sort of expand beyond that, and we really encourage people to think very innovatively around the tools and practices that can help women in technology be successful. Technology today, I think, offers so, is probably becoming increasingly more important for how companies and businesses shape their business agenda. And if we can use some of the innovative things that are happening around technology to create some tools and practices that actually show those things in practice and that they're helping women in technology leadership at the same time, I feel that it also helps to expand and raise the level of importance and profile of IT within the organisation and the role that it plays. Lastly, but not least, I think, a lot of success comes from having really good, strong, robust leadership development tools and programs. I know that from my years in as being a chief HR officer, that having the right sort of leadership tools and practices to help people to be successful as they grow in the organisation is really critical to people's success. So we hope that the project deliverables that we as a team create and share across the CIO Index organisation cover these main practices. Clearly, if something else comes out through the work that we do or the discussion and we feel something raises to the forefront for being a project deliverable, then that's something that as a team we can clearly consider and see how that fits in. So I just also want to talk about some assumptions, because sometimes when you become part of a special interest group or a networking group, the first question that people comes to mind is, when will I have the time to do all of this on top of the day job that I have to do every day? The reality is that you can do your day job every day and utilize those experiences and help us to get some of the knowledge that you are experiencing every day, because we think everybody's views matter in building the deliverables for this project. So we want to know, if you have CEOs who are willing and interested to help shape this agenda, we'd love to get their views on it. Your peers, people that you know, even colleagues that are in different functions may actually be really helpful for us to understand why is it that women in technology are not at the level where they need to be. I think the last piece of research I read said that less than 40% of women today are finding themselves in those top leadership IT roles, and that's an issue that by working together we hope we can resolve. We also think that it's really important to use existing research that's out there and leverage it for the best part of what we can see the value that it could bring. So whether that's if you have access to academic research, industry research, if you are part of any forums or go to any conferences, chances are that you would have come across or have read various articles and papers or some interesting insights that might be helpful to inform our views. So please, as you think about working on this project, part of what we like to sort of address up front is, don't assume that anything isn't relevant, because the chances are most of it will be. We also will be testing some assumptions as we embark on this project by doing things like launching surveys or interviews or running workshops, so that we can test out perhaps some of our own thinking around what the issues might be, and to gather some feedback from a broader audience as to whether we're on the right track or not. The great news about being part of this SIG is that everything we get to work on and talk about is documented, and we can share it online. So all of the materials, the deliverables, are open to everybody in the CIO community and beyond. So we get the opportunity to leverage technology to help us to really dig deep into some of the issues that we're facing. The executive board will make all the decisions pertaining to the specifics of each deliverable released to the public, but certainly within the online community we have an opportunity to share and to continue to contribute when we have time and when we get together to review some of the work that we've been doing. So it leads me on to some of the project tools that are actually in place. If you don't know of them, if you've not been part of a SIG before, then this is probably useful for you to be aware of. We do have online groups which feature a full, fully featured forum which allows for discussion, private messages, and notifications. So it's an easy way for us all to be connected. We'll have access to GoToMeeting, it's what we're using now, and GoToWebinar, which are tools for online collaboration, which means it doesn't matter where you're located, and the tool is easily accessible, and it means that we can all virtually work together as we continue on this project. Let's just talk a little bit about the timeline. The timeline essentially is going to be devised by us, the SIG, once we have a charter in place. Based on that and what we believe the charter to be, we'll start to create the timeline for that project, and that will be obviously a participative exercise with all of the members to figure out what it is that our charter will encompass and what it won't encompass, and what does that mean realistically from a timeline of what we think is doable and with the ability to produce some really quality work. There will be various working committees, so people have the opportunity to decide which working committees they would like to be a part of, and individuals can elect to, based on preference, or if we need to, because one committee is more subscribed than another, then have other people be allocated to those working committees so that we can balance out the workload that we will have as a special interest group. The next meeting really is where we start getting into some of the meat, if you like, of the project, where we start to really scope out what we will provide is a strawman project charter, which we hope then we can present to the SIG for their input and amendment as needed. So this meeting today is really just a kick-off meeting, help you get a good grounding of how the process will work, some of the things that we have in place to help that, and some of the timelines and the process. So as you will see, as of today, other than knowing that we will probably have a best practice group, we haven't defined what the other working groups may be, and there might be more than 3. As we develop that project charter, we will come together and decide what those working committees should be, and hopefully have a huge amount of interest and discussion in deciding which of the committees that people would like to work on. So with that, I'd like to hand back to Candice. We've covered essentially sort of a very broad outline of what the special interest group is about, how the project would work, and how we hope that you will engage with us. But as part of what we want to do with this SIG is to ensure that there's really strong collaboration and discussion amongst the group. So I'm going to hand it over to Candice to actually lead the next part of this meeting.
Well, thank you, Rita. That was a very extensive overview of our marching orders, is what I'm going to call them. I know within the last 20 minutes we've thrown a lot at you, and before I move forward, again, I'd like to thank you, as Rita has already done, for your participation, because without you, this SIG will not move forward. So at this point, we'd like to start to get our audience engaged. As we've already stated, our first order of business is going to be developing our charter. Well, in doing so, Rita and I felt that in order to develop a charter that's comprehensive of the thoughts of the entire group, that we needed to engage our participants so that based on your responses, collective responses to a few questions, we should be able to dig through the data and come up with what we feel is the charter moving forward for the SIG. So our first question that we'd like to engage the participants in is, why are you interested in being part of this particular SIG? Right now, you should be getting the opportunity to raise your hand, and Sonica is going to select 1 or 2 individuals that would like to speak to why you're interested in being part of this SIG. If you would be so kind, would you please introduce yourself and let us know where you're from, and then just give us a brief understanding of why you'd like to participate. Sonica? Sonica, are you with us?
I'm sorry, Candace. I was waiting for someone to raise their hand, but I don't see anyone having done so. Would you like me to just ask someone?
Okay, I'm kind of flipping through the participant list, and there's a Jamie Lacey. Jamie, would you like to speak to why you're interested in this particular SIG?
Jamie, you should have received a pin. If you can just put that pin in, it will allow you to speak. Okay. We have Geeta who has raised her hand. I will send her a pin to start speaking.
Awesome, great. As soon as you get the pin, Geetha, it would be great to hear from you.
Hi, Geeta. How are you?
Hey, hi, I'm fine. Thank you. You guys are able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sure. Right. Thank you all. First of all, it's a great to have this kind of discussion, which I've been wanting to have for a long time. Just to answer this question on why I'm interested in being part of this special interest group, I've been in this IT industry from almost now 20 years. And I've seen various organizations, and then there are the opportunities what are available for men versus women. And this 20 years things have changed a bit, but not at the rate that I would expect it to change in the industry. So if I can be a person who can contribute to this change, then I would definitely want to be. That's why I thought I'll be part of this strategy.
Awesome. Geetha, thank you for your input. Sonica, did anybody else raise their hand?
No, just just Geeta.
Okay.
Well,
Mhm.
let's, Candace, if you could, just mention why you want to be part of the SIG, and Rita, then we can, people will, it'll get people thinking.
Right. Well, as I mentioned in the introduction, I'm passionate about this particular SIG, obviously because I am a woman and I also work in the industry. And as Geetha has said, I've been in the industry for over 20 years and I've seen some changes, but the rate of change is not necessarily what I would consider to be as progressive as you see in other industries. So being a thought leader, I feel that it would be an awesome opportunity to be able to contribute and also help solve solve a problem or at least identify the problem so that the next generation that comes through could have additional information, additional tools that will help women in information technology move forward. How about yourself, Rita?
A couple of reasons why I'm interested in being part of this SIG. One is I think that the transformation that is happening within IT and business organisations is probably the biggest transformation it's ever seen. And with the advent of sort of social media analytics and the cloud and the Internet of Things really driving business performance forward, I think there's never been a better time for women to be able to step up, to be in positions of leadership in what is a fundamentally, I think, transformative role that the IT organisation has to play. So I'm really interested in helping women sort of take the lead in understanding the impact of what's happening in the whole technology field, and I'm passionate about helping transform businesses, and I think women can do that as equally as men.
Awesome. Okay, well, we're going to move on. At the beginning of the session, a survey was displayed that was our attempt to start the thought process and also just to gather some preliminary data as to how what we feel is the biggest barriers for women that women face in technology. And right now, I believe on your screen you're able to see the results of the poll. And wow, the top response is self-confidence and beliefs, followed by few role models and insignificant networks. Oh, nope, I'm sorry. Actually, uh, the second is technology is not promoted strongly as a career for women. And then coming in a strong third are the other three, which is company hiring and talent practices and a few role models and insignificant networks. We did have a category for other, but we weren't able to provide a mechanism for us to actually define that other. So throughout the next month, with some of the discussions that we'll be facilitating, we're going to try to dig into what that other possibly could be. Okay.
This is very
So
interesting to me, Candace. I mean, to see self-confidence and belief as, the top barrier is very interesting, which means that there is a lot that we as women need to do in terms of developing that, and the SIG is going to be one of those forums where we can, provide that support.
Would anybody who perhaps may have put that in as one of their responses, would they be willing to sort of share what, some of the reasons why they've rated that to help us understand that? Is there anybody on the call today that would be willing to sort of just share some of their thoughts on how they rated some of these?
Could you please raise your hand and let us know? We'd really appreciate that.
And while we're waiting for that, let me just pipe in and say that it's interesting that the self-confidence and beliefs resonates as the highest in our poll here. But the flip side is also interesting, where we have few role models and insignificant networks, which is the flip side to help build that self-confidence and to help mold and modify those beliefs.
Right, which is why we the SIG today that we are trying to form is going to play a major role. Well, I think either people are unable to kind
There's
of
somebody
sign
who's
in to
raised their
speak.
hand. I think Kim Robinson's raised her hand.
Kim, I'm going to send you a pin if you'd like to. Hi, Kim. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Great. So I actually didn't respond as the number one of self-confidence. I responded more of the technology not promoted strongly as a career. And I don't wonder if sometimes those two go hand in hand. So meaning if it's not strongly promoted as a career option or something that seems, doing the quotes in the air, logical for women to get involved in with technology, then quite often there isn't a belief that you can do this. And I personally I've never sort of seen the barriers between men and women, with the exception of, physical strength perhaps. So to me, like maths and sciences and IT and the logic around the business side of me seems like an excellent fit for either of the sexes. So, that's the way I sort of self-promote. And, I'm concerned about the self-confidence and belief side of the fence, and why would there sort of feel an inferiority when it comes to the maths and sciences side of the fact that make up technology? Just my thoughts.
Kim, thank you. That is a wonderful response, and an example of what we're looking for within the group and our discussion. In order for us to delve into the issues and also be able to provide the rich data that we're hoping to receive, we're going to have these open communications. And also, I really applaud you for being able to stand up and say, I don't see it that way. And it really, just for myself, it promoted more thought. And I'm hoping that that's also what has happened with the rest of the group. Excuse me, Sonica, was there anyone else that had raised their hand and would like to speak?
Deborah Blackstock, who's also on the call, doesn't have a mic, but she has sent me a note that I'd like to read out to you. She says,
Oh, that would be
no
great.
mic,
Thank
but
you.
to her, many studies on how boys and girls are still treated differently by teachers is what is expected of them as far as technology, science, and math courses go. So more out of the boys and less out of girls. So more, expectations are set for men versus women, and that's from a very early age, the lives of girls and within the lives of girls, they are not encouraged in the technology. So obviously, technology is not promoted strongly as a career for women is what Barbara also chose.
I think that's probably true in the sense that you're seeing so much, emphasis put on STEM, of getting women and girls into, girls who code, and countries really trying to encourage more science, technology, engineering and maths graduates, and particularly focusing on girls. So I think, it's a very valid point that's been raised.
These are awesome examples and actually giving us a lot of food for thought. If you could go back to the presentation on our screen, please. We're going to go ahead and move forward.
Sure.
I'm still seeing the survey results.
Yeah.
It should be up now.
One second, please.
So as we're waiting for our screens to change, our next question is actually going to be facilitated on the discussion board, as well as the first question will be facilitated on the discussion board. And what we're looking for, okay, the screen is back. Our next question is, when you hear the phrase women leadership in technology, what does that mean to you? And again, we're using these questions to garner the information that's going to help us, garner the data that's going to help us develop our charter for moving forward within this particular SIG. So as I mentioned before, this last question is going to be on our discussion board, as well as the first question is, why are you interested in being part of the SIG? And Sonica, I'm just going to turn it over to you for a couple of minutes to explain to our participants how the discussion board will work and how they'll get notification that these questions are out there and ready for their responses.
Sure, thanks, Candace. Before I get to that, I just wanted to, we have Burton, who's also attending this meeting, who just sent me, who's not able to speak. She is an enterprise architect at MTN, which in an important IT transformation program. She's from Africa, and her comment is that it is obvious with cultural legacy and the fact that women have been playing a second role in our society that it justifies why women don't have self-confidence yet. So she says, but she believes it's a matter of time, and we need to put some focus on educating the teachers who are, not only teaching the boys, also teaching the girls so they can impart that confidence in the girls, because despite all odds, they are now in the field of technology.
Oh, that is an awesome response also. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
So just to go over briefly as to the online forum that is available to you on CIO Index. When a question is posed on the forum, or when we start a discussion on the forum, each one of you will receive notification via email that this has been posted, and with a link to go straight to that. You log into the site, you will go straight to that page because that link takes you to that particular discussion, and you're able to post a reply. You will also be receiving an email after this meeting that will give you instructions on how to participate in that discussion. Of course, we encourage participation, and which is what is going to get us to maximizing the benefit of being part of the SIG. That's how we are going to, get started on the discussion. Most of our discussions will be asynchronous, which means that they will be through the Special Interest Group Forum. We will, once the charter is in place, we will also, Candace and Rita will also decide how many on meetings through the GoToMeeting platform we will be conducting for this special interest group.
Thank you again, Sonika. One thing that Sonika mentioned at the beginning was that this session is actually recorded. I know that we've thrown a lot of information at the group and also for those who were not able to attend. So with that, this session will be recorded and you'll be able to re-listen to it. And if there's anything that you didn't pick up or something that you felt we went over too fast, you'll be able to go back and reference this particular session again. And as Sonika was talking, I was thinking, and I kind of chuckled to myself because what a better way to start a SIG for women in technology or women in leadership in technology, and we're actually using technology to facilitate to facilitate the group discussion. I think this is so apropos just for what we're trying to do and how we'll be moving forward. So let's go on to what's next. Again, we've thrown a lot of information at you. We're going to be posting those 2 questions on the discussion board, and we're asking that everyone try to respond before the end of July. So during the month of August and by the end of August, we expect to have the charter created, and we'll possibly have another meeting just to present the charter and to start our plans for moving forward. And then in September, we plan to develop our working committees and actually review the charters. I'm sorry, I was incorrect. We won't have the meeting in August. We'll have the meeting in September. So those are our next 2 steps. Let's get this charter created, and then we'll start our working committees, and we'll plan to review the charter as from the standpoint of the entire team. So at this point, we really want to keep the meeting to the hour that we've committed, but I want to know if there's anyone in the audience that has any questions, concerns, if there's anything that we haven't explained that you need some clarification on. We're just going to open up for a few minutes and open up to the floor for any questions or comments.
Candace, I just wanted to, make a correction. The previous comment that I made on behalf of Burton, who's in Africa. Burton is actually not a woman, and Burton is a man, and he wants us to know that he supports very strongly that women must contribute to technology and to changing the world.
Well, welcome, Burton, and thank you.
I don't have any questions yet that have been asked. I would presume that everybody is kind of taking some time to absorb what they have heard in this meeting today. And, we'll give you all that time to absorb. Please get on the forum, ask your questions there. You may ask any question there, participate in the discussions. At this moment, I would like to thank both Candace and Rita for taking the time to present to all of us, and also all of you for taking the time to attend the meeting today. So, and please, please, please understand that participation is very important to making this special interest group successful, and it's in all of our interest that we do so. So thank you once again. Please look out for the emails that will come to you for instructions, and I wish you all a wonderful day. Thanks, Candace. Thanks, Rita.
Thank you, Rita.
Thank you.
Have a great day.